Hey guys, it's Ben with Myers Woodshop, and this is a follow-up to our $2,400 Did I Waste Money on a Chinese Laser? So in that video you saw it takes water to keep the laser tube cool, and it was provided a blue tub that we changed out, and I'm going to show you right here, for a fish tank to pump water through. The reason I changed from that blue tub to a fish tank is because the blue tub didn't have a lid, it didn't fit in the slot that I have in my tiny shop, and it didn't hold as much water as a 10-gallon fish tank. So theoretically, the more water I have, the quicker the water temperature, the heat from that laser is going to dissipate. So we went with a bigger fish tank. So since buying that laser, I've learned it's really important to keep the water temperature down. That's because the laser will get hot over time, and the water that that fish pump is producing is only starting at room temperature and only going to increase the longer and more powerful we use that laser. And I don't want to kill the laser tube because it's an expensive part to change. It's going to eventually go dead, but I want to make that prolonged as long as possible. So we enter, what's behind me is something called a chiller. Now there are two different types of chillers. There's the CW-5000 or the CW-5000 series. The 3000 series is not actually something that's going to get it down below room temperature. It just has a coil and a fan, and it'll bring the water temperature back down to room temperature, which is okay if you have something that's a low-powered laser. Now what we have behind us is a CW-5000 series laser. This is actually the 5200. That actually has refrigerant inside, so it'll bring it to room temperature and even below. And it'll also be able to keep that temperature at a steady temperature, say 20 degrees Celsius, even while we're pumping through with the laser. So we're going to prolong that life, get more consistent cuts, and just a better overall experience. Now it is more expensive. This one was right around $580 on Amazon, and I will leave a link to it down below. This is the genuine S&A laser chiller, the industrial chiller. From all the research I have done, the S&A genuine is a must-have. They are a Chinese company, but it's actually a good Chinese company. So if you can find a genuine S&A, please go ahead and get that one. Now you'll notice on the side, I'll turn it around, this is a CW-5200 DH. And because of that, it's a one-phase, 110 volt, 60 hertz. And that is really good. Make sure you get one that's the correct wattage and volts for your shop or wherever you're storing this. We don't have 220 in this shop, so we got the 110. Now the 5200 versus the 5000, this one will have hookups to where you can refill the refrigerant if something were to go wrong and it got a leak. The 5000 does not have those hookups. There's a difference of about $60, and I thought it was really, if I'm going to invest 500 bucks, I might as well invest the extra to get all of that coverage in case something goes wrong, but let's hope that doesn't happen. So we're going to go through the process of opening this up, checking out the chiller, what's all involved, and then swapping out on the laser, and we'll show you how that works.
All right, let's cut this puppy open and see what we can see. All right, on the top, small Ziploc bag with what appears to be the power cord and instructions, which hopefully turn out to be at least partially in English. Also various and sundry clamps and some sort of adapter. Here is the chiller itself. With really handy grips on the top of it. Alright, so we've got the chiller out of the box. Let's go in and look at some of the features we can see just on the outside. Like we showed before, it's got a couple of nice handles on the top. You can lift it up and down, place it wherever you need to. This on the top is the fill cap. So I would use a funnel and fill it in there. The manual does not say exactly how much water to put in it, but there is a gauge on the side that we'll show you in a second. So on both sides of this thing, there is an air filter panel that comes off. It recommends periodic cleaning of this filter, just like an air conditioner. And on the inside, oops, is a bunch of wiring, probably pressurized Freon, and lots of crap that I'm not going to touch unless I absolutely must. This is the front. There is an alarm LED and a normal LED. Guess which one you want to see. There's a small display that we have not switched on yet. There are just a couple of buttons on the front of this thing for setting the temperature. Power switch is also right on the front. Other side looks much like the first. Here's the other side. Same filter, same size. There is a label that says you should clean that thing every 15 to 30 days to keep good cooling performance. And on the back end, a couple of pretty darn big fans. It's going to keep things working. So from top to bottom, water comes in here, comes back out here. So these are going to connect with the inlet and outlet on the laser itself, except this inlet goes to the outlet on the laser. This outlet goes to the water in on the laser. There's an alarm output here. Power cable goes here. And this is the gauge that actually shows where your water volume needs to be at. It's got dangerous, normal, and full. And I guess we're supposed to keep it somewhere toward the top of the green. There's a drain down at the bottom. It is threaded. And one of the ways that you can tell this thing's what we actually needed, there's an SNA tag on the bottom corner, and there is a QR code also with an SNA logo on the top, and that's a couple of the things we figured out to tell you this is an actual SNA product, because there have been several that have been built to look a lot like this thing, but they're not actual SNA products. So that is what you want to see when you unbox this thing. Alright, so we're going to start filling this thing up. It's really important that you get distilled water, not just tap water. You want the distilled water. We've got 2 gallons right here. We are going to use a funnel. Here it is. Magical marker on both sides. Hopefully we don't get ink in the tank. It should be fine, I hope. We're going to take this thing off the top, pour it all in. Well, maybe not all of it. We're going to keep an eye on the gauge to see, you know, where we land after, say, a gallon, and we'll go from there. Well, I see nothing yet on the gauge.
We're about halfway with the first gallon of distilled water. Trying to pour it where I don't touch any of the marker.
I mean, I'm assuming we're pouring it into the right place, but nothing's showing on the gauge yet. And the whole gallon's in. And it is not registered yet on the water gauge.
Gallon number 2.
Here we go. All right, we are just at the top of the red now. And as we go through the second gallon, we are going into green normal range. That's where we want to be.
We actually want to overfill it a little bit because it is going to suck out some through the tubes. Although we could always refill later, but I'm thinking about hitting right at where the yellow will hit.
You're 3/4 of the way through the green range. So we're about
3/4 of the way through the gallon.
Oh, it just popped way up.
Are we in the yellow yet?
Not quite. A little bit more. All right, we hit yellow.
All right. So I am probably got, what do you say?
1.75 gallons.
Yeah, probably 1.8 gallons in there, which is the maximum fillness. And we have reached right above green. It's gonna pump water out the tubes and air, so it should go down a little bit, which would be normal, and if we ever need to, we could just refill it. So now we're gonna connect the hoses to our laser, remove the fish tank we have installed, and hook this one up.
Okay, well, now we get to pull the whole thing out from the wall, along with the aquarium and just all the piping and everything. This is gonna be great. Here we go. All right, well, here's what we were using for our liquid cooling. It was just a 10-gallon fish tank. The water pump is inside, and we put a layer of plastic across the top and just put the hoses in. These are the hoses that will now go directly to the chiller, but we've got to make sure that the water that's in there comes out of here. So what we're going to do is just pop this thing open, take the water pump out, and run the water pump out of water, which you're never supposed to do because it will destroy, most likely, the water pump. But since we're not going to use this anymore and we need to get the water out of the laser, we don't care about that, so here we go.
So the clicking you hear is the actual water regulator. It knows if water is flowing through it or not, and it'll warn you. So that's what's inside. Brian has blown one side of the inlet so we can push all the water out. We chose not to do it and with the water pump. So we got all the water out now, and now we'll just use those clamps and hook up the chiller.
All right, here's the power cable. Gonna plug this sucker in. Make sure the switch, the power switch on the front, is off when you plug it in, or it'll pitch a little fit. All right. Now we're also going to go ahead and uncover the laser tube itself on the back. Here's the power switch. I'm going to throw it, and what it'll probably do is have a little fit at first, give an alarm until the water is circulating the way it needs to and there's not any air left in the line or in the laser tube itself. Here we go. Switched over to normal pretty quick. And filled the laser tube pretty darn quick too.
I filled the laser tube quicker than the water pump
Definitely.
did. So the screen is flickering on our screen, but it doesn't flicker in real life. It's just a matter of the camera matching up with the LCD screen. But it is saying 24.1 Celsius normal. And you could hear it just kicked in.
Yep.
To start cooling, it sounds literally like a air conditioner, because that's what it is.
So the conditioner element in the chiller just kicked on because it is more or less an air conditioner. It's not terribly loud. I see both fans running on the back, and I also see that the water level has dropped just a little bit. We had it just up in the yellow range. Now it's dropped just down into the green. It's still where it needs to be for functioning. We may add a little more later on.
All right, so you can see our laser and chiller are actually in their final resting place. We've had this for about 3 weeks now. I didn't want to do a video without actually using the chiller for a while. And we are in the hottest Arkansas summer. Those last 3 weeks, we were hitting about 115, 120 feels like temperatures. I am in my shop where I keep the air conditioner at 72. I believe inside the ambient temperature is about 75. Under those conditions, have I noticed any differences in the consistency or working ability of the laser? And the answer is no. And I think that answer of no is actually a good thing. I don't want any differences because it's working perfectly. Now I know this is all kind of theoretical, and as we can't go back a year, hopefully at least 3 years, maybe 5, and check if the tube has lasted that long. But knowing with the peace of mind that my water has been kept cool enough to where I can operate this at the highest temperature consistently, and or the highest wattage consistently, and not having to worry about killing the tube, especially as fast as just room temperature. So let's go over decibel level, and I'm using a decibel app like I did for the initial machine. Me talking, I'm hitting sometimes about 80, 72. Ambient room is 44. So I'm going to turn on the machine, and I'm going to turn on the chiller, and we're going to listen to it and see how loud it is. I can tell you just by using it, it's super quiet, and you can have a conversation right in front of it. Akin it to a air conditioning unit in a window. It's about that loud. But let me turn it on so you can hear it, and we'll actually check the decibel level. So when you turn it on, the alarm always goes off at first. That's absolutely normal. I think it's just running a test cycle. You can hear right now the two fans on the back are running, but I don't hear anything. I'll be quiet and we'll look at the number. We're hitting 50 decibels. Now there is a fan over on the side keeping the electronics of the laser cool, but that's 10 decibels more. You can hear it just kicked in. It's about 68 decibels with that on. I don't have to talk loudly or yell or anything, even though it is higher. It's real quiet, and it doesn't last very long. This is very similar to when it's actually running. It'll kick on for about 2-3 minutes every 30 minutes or so. We've run in consistent cuts, probably 4 or 5 hour jobs now, and a whole lot of little jobs. It runs really short, and it keeps that water really cool for a long period of time, so that's not always on. I am also on the same circuit with my CNC machine, and I've run them both at the same time, and I haven't had any blown fuses. So the laser itself, the chiller itself, and the CNC Shapeoko have all been on, not the vacuum, but the actual CNC and the router spindle. They've all been on the same circuit. It's a 20 amp circuit, and it hasn't blown that fuse at all. So if you're worried about overloading a circuit with something else, now I'm not giving you a technical how much wattage is all this pulling, because I don't really know, or amperage, but know just, hey, if you're in the garage and you have some other stuff on the circuit, you can run it all at the same time, and it probably won't blow your, unless you're using something really powerful. So on the front, you can see over there, we're hitting 20.9 degrees Celsius, 20.8 right now. It's going to lower it to where it thinks it needs to go. This one actually has auto cooling. We don't have to go in and set it to anything. It auto does it on its own. The compressor just kicked off. We're at 20.3 degrees Celsius. So it likes to be right around 20. And that is a good range to be for running the laser and keeping it cool. Like I said, that's 1 and maybe every 30 minutes when that thing kicks on. The instructions don't give you anything with what temperature range to keep it at. So it's all pretty much internet people telling you what's up, and that's what I've been going off of. But it auto does it, so 20 degrees is where it should be around. They do tell you what some of the buttons do on the LCD panel, and regarding the alarm on the back, it doesn't show you at all what to set it up to. It shows you wiring to other things, but it doesn't show you where that wire goes. So I have no idea what and where to set that alarm up. It has an alarm on it, and the alarm is functional, as when you turn it on, the alarm hits. So I'm thinking when something's wrong with that, the alarm will go off on there. Maybe it's an external to the laser. I honestly have no idea. If you know what it does, leave a comment down below so you can inform me and the other video viewers of this, so you can share your knowledge and we can figure it out, because the instructions don't help on this. So that's what's up with the chiller. Thanks for watching this video. If you like it, please hit the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I'll put out more laser videos as I can. If you have any comments or questions about this, leave them down below and I'll answer what I can. If you're looking for either the chiller or the laser, I'll leave that link in the description below. I've really enjoyed both of them. They work really well, and I have been completely pleased with the purchase. I've paid full price. No one has given me either of these machines, so it's just a review of my honest opinion. So that's what the chiller is. If you haven't invested in a chiller, do it sooner rather than later, or you're going to end up replacing the tube and then the chiller as well, and it's going to cost you more money overall. I'll see you next time. Until then, happy lasering.
Okay, well. Okay.
The instructions. Woo!